let's spend the day watering. Not sure how the sound will play out on this video, mainly because I am behind my backyard here, so I'm dealing with a lot of noise with the air conditioner and riding by traffic. So who knows? This may just be a straight up music overlay. I did want to get out here and shoot a few things, and maybe have a little bit of a story time. So I received word recently that one of my favorite supervisors of the company I work for is moving on to a new position. And I am so happy for him. When I listen to the role, it sounds like exactly the kind of thing that he would enjoy. And I 1000 believe that the company that he is transitioning to hit the jackpot when it comes to him and the services he'll be able to provide that group. But on a personal note, it is sad. This guy was an absolute joy to work with, very understanding, gave me opportunities that I think not many would have, did so without much hesitation, if any, and gave me an opportunity to excel within this position that I'm in. So yeah, it's going to be a sad day to lose this person. And company life is definitely not all things. And we're all entitled to, find the position that makes the sense for where we are in our career. But there are a lot of unanswered questions in terms of what my new supervisor will be, and if my role will still be one that is as valued as it is currently. I think those are all basic questions we have for ourselves as we navigate these types of changes. But one thing that I have that I rely on heavily when it comes to things that I'm just not ready to process, or need to are kind of bummed about, this garden baby, garden life, will give you a moment to reflect and unplug from the mundane pieces of life and take you back to the basics and the things you actually enjoy. So it's been a really hot week here in Georgia. Scattered rain showers, you know how that goes. 40% chance of rain here, 40% chance of rain there. I cannot complain, because while we have had some weeks this season of 100+ degree, I'm thankful that we are not at least that hot, and I 100% understand that has been a challenge for quite a few this growing season. For the Midwest, Deep South, even places like London, where I hear that AC is not a common thing there, but they've been reaching degrees over 100. So my heart goes out to you all. I pray that you all are staying safe and hydrated, as cool as absolutely possible. Able to get out in your gardens when you can. Tell you some of the tips that I have here in the Deep South. And it ain't that deep. I'm in Atlanta metro area, but deep enough where the humidity is constantly an issue, is work in the shade. I'm out here watering, but I don't know if you can tell, this entire garden is in the shade right now. So I actually plan my activities based on that. I have the luxury of working from home, so I do understand that is not always an option for those. And I know that watering in the evenings isn't always ideal. There's an old adage about not sending your garden to bed wet, as it opens up opportunities for nighttime pests and funguses where your soil and plants have not dried out appropriately. But sometimes you've just got to do what you got to do in order to keep things alive. So I do say, if you find yourself at that point where you need to water in the evenings, Do it as early in the evening as you can, especially if you're in the south. I mean, too, if you get out there about 8 o'clock, by 10, that stuff's dry, baby. So the risk is less um, of an issue. I'm in a problem spot now, so let me back up for a second and kind of talk through what this problem spot is. This is a park shade area. I have quite a bit of tree cover here on my back lot, which I actually am very appreciative of. Gives me a slightly cooler spot to hang out in the summer months. But what I'm dealing with specifically is park shade and a ton of moisture control, something that's evident to me by the constant appearance of what you see on the ground, which is a ground cover raspberry or strawberry of sort, wild strawberry. I have considered just letting it do its thing, but it honestly is just not working in terms of the aesthetic I want in this space. It's reading weedy. In addition to that ground cover, I've got this plant, which I believe is called chamberbit, popping up everywhere. And this is a constant in this backyard space. And honestly, before I landscaped this area and wood chip this path, I had chamberbit everywhere. And actually, I see a fruit on that creeping strawberry or raspberry, just to give you an idea of exactly what it is I'm dealing with. That I don't like because it spreads by underground rhizome and it's tedious to pull and eradicate. But that one I can almost deal with. This one, however, I've got to pull up immediately. Let's see if we can see on the back here. See those white specks? Those are all seeds. So it's one of those things that seeds like crazy, multiple generations within a season. And it's one of those where you've got to pull it and trash it. Don't ever pull chamberbit and drop it in a pile thinking you'll come back and get it later. Wherever you dropped it, that pile is going to sprout. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So that is the area I'll have to deal with. Not entirely sure how I will tackle it, but I will confirm that I am not opposed to using herbicides with responsible use, meaning read the instructions. I'm not a sprayer of herbicides, especially in a closed space like this. I'm just gonna pull the chamberbit. But like for that creeping raspberry, I would take a paintbrush dipped in Roundup or whatever herbicides you are interested in, and I will paint these. So very, very meticulously painting the herbicide on the weed that I need to eradicate in a way to prevent overspray and have direct contact. So that is my approach. Again, I'm not a proponent of using herbicide just to use it. I do believe in good old elbow grease when it makes sense, but I have pulled up that patch of spreading raspberry at least 7 times in the last 2 years, and it continues to pop up in the same spot. And there's no saying that one application of herbicide will eradicate it. I may have to come back and do it multiple times, but that's my approach. And again, I believe using a paintbrush dipped in herbicide and painting it directly on the weed in question is your best bet to responsibly use it. So that's where I am with that. Got a butterfly around the garden. Hey, boo. Swallowtails have been a constant visitor. Black swallowtail there. Yet to see any monarchs. I don't currently have a food source for their caterpillar state, so I will be looking to add some milkweed and yarrow as a feeding source, but milkweed for sure. I know there is a type of butterfly that likes parsley. I'm not quite sure which one, but dill is another. So I need to get some host caterpillar plants in this space so that I can breed more of them And then I think I'm doing a pretty good job in terms of having the plants that they can actually enjoy. Gomphrena being one of them. I've noticed that the smaller insects prefer Gomphrena. So your skipper butterflies, those tiny flying pollinators that I can't quite make out. Some of the damselflies like the Gomphrena. The petunias have been making all of my hummingbird moths very happy. So yeah, there's that. Butterfly bush here. I want to talk for a minute about this butterfly bush because I actually got into a bit of a, I wouldn't call it an argument, but a debate of opinions and, honestly facts when it comes to butterfly bushes. A lot of people are under the assumption that butterfly bushes are invasive and provide what they call junk food for pollinators. Here's my stance on this bush. Butterfly bushes, like lots of plants, are invasive in particular areas. I'm in Georgia, southeast region of the United States, specifically within the Piedmont. Our soil conditions are not such that would make a butterfly bush invasive in our area, even those that do spit seeds and are not sterile. In addition, while butterfly bushes may provide nothing but nectar to butterflies, including things like milkweed, parsley, dill, the things that I have named in the past, does help you create a full life cycle for that butterfly. So I understand that butterfly bushes are invasive in certain parts of the country and world. I would say check with your local extension office to see if that's true for you. In most instances that I've come across, not just with butterfly bushes, but any plant that has been deemed invasive for a specific area, you are unable to buy that plant. Not from your local nursery. Even online retailers have very specific instructions in terms of what they will ship to you based on what they know about the rules of your state. So all that to say, understand your conditions and know that your conditions may not be the same for all. It saddens me to hear or see articles spread that condemn this plant without giving the full, thorough explanation into its benefits and how the invasiveness is not consistent. It is dependent on your area. And one last thing, there are sterile varieties of butterfly bushes. There are people who have dedicated their lives and professional careers to developing plants that can be suitable across a variety of environments. So, with that said, don't hate the butterfly bush. Hate what's invasive in your region. And if you see somebody with a butterfly bush in a different state, don't automatically assume that they're being irresponsible. And one last thing, I would say that, invasives being planted is not good. I'm a wholehearted believer of biodiversity, so you will not see simply native plants in my garden. You will see plants from China and Asia and all different parts of the country, plants that are suitable to growing in this area, suitable to grow but not suitable to take over. So do your own research. A lot of times Google is sharing the same article source, is sharing different articles sourced from the same original content, which a lot of times is very limited. There are great horticulturalists and viewpoints in this profession, like Doug Talmy, who I exceedingly respect for all that he's done to raise awareness about pollinators and planting natives. But there are also a lot of other horticulturalists and scientists, professors, doctorates, Michael Durr, Tony Avent, And I know I'm forgetting some. These are just the two that are popping to mind. Buddy Lee, the developer and breeder of Encore azaleas. There are so many horticulturalists in this industry who would love to have a candid conversation with you and offer more perspective than what you may see simply shared online. So that is my unabashed plug to read for yourself. And understand gardening is about mistakes. I know first year gardeners who have currently been in the gardening hobby for 20 plus years now, who at one point planted mint in their yard that took over and they wound up regretting it, but they learned from it. And more importantly, it got them out there. So let's not take our absolutes as a way to discourage those who are interested, because I think you learn by doing. So anywho, this is above look at the space, which I'm loving. Hydrangeas are just awesome plants. They provide so much color year round. Not even year round, but at least 3 seasons out of the year. You get the green foliage that starts to come up in spring, but the flower show that begins mid-April, mid-June, lasts and lasts and lasts all summer long. You don't have the deadhead hydrangeas. Oftentimes they age out to different colors, so you get a different color perspective. I'm a fan of these plants. And the group back here is Firelight Tidbit Hydrangea. It's a proven winner hydrangea, paniculata, that is about full size. Supertunia bubblegum interspersed with White Knight alyssum. Those are both proven winter plants. Not that I am a huge brand advocate, but I will say there are just certain things that this brand does better. Petunias is one of them. Flowering annuals in general. Supertunia Vista is unmatched in my opinion. Scrolling over into this space, it's the front garden space to the main road. I'm on a corner lot, so I get lots of traffic, not complaining, but I do like to give them something beautiful to look at. We're constantly rethinking how to design this bed. This is the first year I planted anything in the ground. Those containers have been there for a few years now. So again, I've got the Pinkarella hydrangea head here. I've got that one empty space where that plant appears to be dead. Came across a really good video by Jim Putnam with HortTube on YouTube that talks through a very easy way to propagate any kind of shrub or plant. I think I will be trying that. Potentially propagating one stem off the 5 that are remaining, 4, count Erica, the 4 that are remaining, to get a full plant to replace that one with. But beyond replacing that Pinkarella hydrangea, what I'm aiming to do is right where that middle, an oak tree is, directly behind that dead hydrangea that will soon be replaced, I'm looking to add a spring blooming tree, which is a struggle here in the South. I've noticed that around this time, all of our spring blooming trees like plums and peaches and pears, cherries, they are completely defoliated around this time. Now, I haven't owned one on my property to know, or had a chance to talk to a neighbor who is experiencing that. I don't know if it's a heat thing. I don't know if it's a Japanese beetle thing. I don't know if it's a fall comes early in the South for those trees sort of things. So I have some thoughts. I do want a tall spring bloomer here, but I need to do some more research in terms of what will, benefit best. Here I have all of these Rudbeckias. I actually started from seed, and man, what a tough plant. They have been blooming for months now, and I know that this hedge looks very sparse. I actually just stuck them in the ground because they need to get out of their cans. Started these seeds very early on, probably January. They need a certain period of cold stratification, so that would be the reason why I started them so early. But either way, I'm just so impressed with how they look here. I have more seeds. I'm thinking about starting maybe 100 more. And I know these reseed like crazy, but I want it full from the jump. And this entire front border in front of these pinkarellas, I think I'm just going to pack out with Rebecca. Because with color that lasts that long, and I'm not even a yellow flower fan, I just think it works here. It really does. And I can see even in this instance where we've got the basil growth coming back. I'm really excited about this. So long term is to pack the entire border in front of these hydrangeas and in between the rocks with that rudbeckia. Coming around to the front of this bed, I've had some thoughts just last night. I'm constantly planning. The heat months is a good time to plan because it's hot. Who wants to be out here? Speaking of hot, you can just see exactly how much by looking at these poor hydrangea incrediballs. I need to come out and water them, but I know they're so tough. And the watering requirements right now have been more than I've been wanting to keep up with. I don't want to lose them, so I'm definitely going to at least ensure that if we don't have rain soon. But they are wilted bad, and this only gets morning sun. They're planted kind of shallow. Lots of tree roots I had to deal with in between this space. So I'm going to continue to, keep them alive, supplementing and watering them just to make sure they don't completely die. But come fall, I'm going to shore up the planting spaces that they are in. Just make sure those holes are deep enough, got enough compost and so forth. The three little balls here, I'm considering completely moving to the front. I've got an entire hedge of these. These are Hilda Niblet azaleas in my front yard. So I'm going to relocate these to that area to kind of complete or make that front space more cohesive, where those azaleas aren't all crammed onto one side, but instead spread throughout that front space. Don't think they get a ton of sun here, which they don't typically prefer, but they would bloom better in a different spot. And I think in a triangle motion from edge to edge of those incrediballs, what I'm going to do is plant a thick mass of sunflower hostas. This only gets morning sun. I'm going to turn around just to show you my lovely neighbor's house. The sun, that's the east side. So the sun rises here, and it's only a direct sun, morning sun for a few hours. But the sun power hostas are supposed to be able to take full sun. I don't know if I trust that in the south, but I do trust it for this application. So yeah, consider mass planting in a triangle leading up to the rocks, nothing but sun power. I think that would be striking. Moving on, another azalea. This is Pride of Mobile Azalea. It's a spring bloomer, and boy, it puts on a show. Love it. Not a long show because it's a spring blooming azalea, but I love it. Coming to this side of the bed, what I've been going back and forth on is that exactly what to plant here. I've got the 5 hydrangeas there and the 5 hydrangeas there, but this side is deeper shade. Can't do an Annabelle, but I do want to repeat the look. So what I'm considering instead are mountain hydrangeas, serrata, lace caps. I may eventually remove this tree. This is a beech tree. I don't think it's a birch. It's either river beech or river birch. They are native here to Georgia, and they seed around. I wouldn't say like crazy because it's not like I've noticed any seedlings, but I know that this tree popped up from a seedling. Considering removing it. I like the tree, I do. It's just in the wrong spot. So I'm considering removing this tree so that I can have my hedge matching on this side. And just to give you an example, this is another river birch. And in the distance, it's another. And they look so good in the fall and winter. They are tardily deciduous, meaning that they hold on to their leaves after they age. So you've got this really pretty papery brown tree, and I don't know if you can tell, but it's got a bit of a weeping structure. It looks great, especially in front of a backdrop of a evergreen trees. But for my space, it's just not working. I just walked into a spider web. Great. And then up close on some of my problem trees, if anybody knows what this is, I'm sure Arborist will tell me when he comes out. But you know, I've got this growing on a tree that is clearly dead. And I do appreciate having trees that their only purpose is to serve purpose for wildlife. But you know, this is leaning. And if it were to fall, it would kind of destroy a lot of what I've got going there. This tree is also dead. You can tell by the bottom. It is dropping branches like crazy. In the background, you can see. This tree isn't dead. I don't notice, but I know I've got 1, 2, and then finally 3 that I've got to remove. And this will be a seating area. Notice my concrete picnic table here. I've got an additional pillar there. My goal is to take that pillar, move it to the center of this bed, which is actually shaped like a heart if you look at it from above. So moving in the center, I've got a couple of, you can't really see them in the background there, 3 munchkin hydrangeas that I'm going to plant around it and really keep this place blank. Mulch, centerpiece, structure with a few plants around it. But yeah, my plan is to keep that blank. I like negative space, especially in a seated area. Those that may have wondered, the hydrangea video that I did that got so many views, here's an update on it. It's dead, and it did not die because of heat stress. It died because I overwatered it, trying to love it to death before I took the steps of cutting the blooms. So that one died, but that one's perfectly healthy. Same plant, same situation, except that because this was flagging immediately, I immediately cut the blooms off of it. And I want to show you all the new growth that's coming through. This is a healthy plant. It does not wilt anymore. No supplemental water. All I did was cut the blooms. This guy, I tried to water and water before I decided to just cut the blooms instead, but it was too late. I'm leaving it there, but I don't think it's going to come back. Instead, because I like having balance, I'm going to propagate this one and plant it in that space. Speaking of hydrangeas, there are another 2. That is a oak leaf Sims Beauty, and that is his cousin over there. Notice I've got them in pretty deep shade here. They did bloom, but then a deer ate it. So yeah, you know how deer love hydrangeas, but they're surviving, so I'm happy about that. So my focus for this fall will be that space and this space. I have decided to mulch it because just from an aesthetic perspective, the black mulch contrast makes my heart happy. So that's what I'm going to do. All of my leaf managed, because again, all of these trees are deciduous. So when the leaves fall, I've got leaves, okay? What I'm going to instruct my lawn guys to do for the time period is blow all my leaves back here. It's the back border, and I will definitely completely trick it out. But first, like I said, I've got some cleanup, some brush removal. There's some privet back there, some trees I need to remove. So I'm just trying to do it step at a time. And I figure these 2 spaces are 2 that I can knock out by fall. And come springtime, I can dedicate the rest of my development efforts to this border, which extends to this border. It's a wild mess right now back in here. I'll step back a little bit more. But what I do appreciate about this is right through that opening, which is my neighbor's property. But we have fairly good relationship, and I think this is something we can negotiate through a conversation. But the back half of our border gives you a cut through to our creek. I live on a property where Yellow River runs through it. Lots of water sources back there. So what I would love to do is, in that opening, add a moon gate to give you a quick view, a very pretty visual view back to that space. So all that to say that this entire thing, will be landscaped. Moon gate going across like that. All of this will be cleared. I've got some, I think they're green giant arborvitaes, where, the building landscaper planted them way too close. As a result, airflow was an issue. So they're completely naked for like the first 10 feet of that plant. I'm taking those out to open that space too, even to be even more of a, secret garden-esque. But yeah, I can't wait. Huge plans. And I plan to light it all up with Edison bulbs all across the back property. It's going to be beautiful. It's all in my head. Of course, it takes the time and the budget. This space, I want to eventually extend this patio all the way out. But for the time being, I'm going to this fall cover this with landscape fabric and rocks, just to keep it neat and tidy, because it is visible through this garden space. So that was really a thorough, in-depth walkthrough of my backyard space. It's got me in a better mood as I talk through plants and take my mind off of the impending changes that are happening company-wide. All good things, like I said, great team. He's leaving me in great hands. I'm very happy for him. I think it's going to be a fantastic opportunity for him. But yeah, there's also the unknown too. Last shot here of the peanuts. If you look in close, you can see flowers. I think that means I got peanuts coming soon. So happy gardening. Remember, get some of that dirt therapy in when you can, and hope to see you all soon.